Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna continue a little bit more with Blender particles and Sverchok add-on kind of combinations. So we already know now for particles we need some kind of emitter, okay, like any kind of grid, and then we just need to create a particle system. And for what I'm doing here, we don't need to worry about a particle simulation yet, so I often turn it off. I only worry about how particles being positioned on top of the mesh. Let's say if you have the default grid is like, if I go to edit mode, it's like, oh, this is actually not a grid, this is a plane. So anyway, plane has 4 vertices and I can assign 4 vertices and then start and end to have all those vertices to come out. So yeah, so we need an emitter and we need a particle system. We don't need to worry about force yet and all kind of simulations. Just particles and then emitter and then also the instance objects. If I say like emit like 25 particles, we have 25 particles, right? And if we are doing it manually, let's say we have like a donut, have a monkey, and icosphere. So we have 3 objects. The cool thing about Blender particles simplicity is just like you have these 3 objects yet you want to instance on top of this grid. You just group these objects and you're good to go. You just simply assign instead of object, you assign the group, and you should get the objects instance on being instance on the particles. You can say whole group is gonna take the whole group, but you don't want to do that. We want to pick random and increase the size. If you like, you can also randomize the size. So that's the basic thing. Probably limited features of Blender particles, but if we are trying to do it using Sverchok, suddenly you can actually control the rotation, the size, the scale, and everything inside Sverchok. Even like things like color, the object color itself. I'm gonna show it to you real quick. So instead of having to manually build the emitter and manually instance the object, we can tell Sverchok to generate those procedurally. So that's the main point here. So if I delete all of them, we have nothing in the 3D scenes. Now if I jump to compositing and I'll turn on outliner so you can see what's being generated by Sverchok. I will try to start to incorporate the Sverchok in particle simulations and instancing. So this is Emitter Generator. It can be anything, but I will just use the plane, and I will use the viewer B mesh. In the previous live noding, I'll told you that with the viewer B mesh, if you are updating your mesh here, the UV will disappear. That's something you need to worry about. But if you don't care about the UV, you just care about the grid, then you don't need to worry about that at all. You can simply keep this updated all the time. I'll center the grid. I can actually make this like kind of standing like this. How many vertices matter? So 10 by 10 vertices is like 100 points altogether to instance the particles. It is also 10 minus 9, 9 by 9, so 81 polygon face altogether. Sometimes that's something you need to care about. This is like a SV procedural particle. So I'll make it like, maybe I'll just flatten it as normal. So this is the emitter. I'll make another Sverchok node 3, and this is gonna be the instance generator. The instance can be anything. You can choose any of this or just build your own. What's the cool one to use? Let's see. I actually kind of like the ring, and I will use viewer B mesh here as well. And for the generated objects, I will group them. Make sure the group is on, so it's gonna be automatically grouped. And if I wanna assign like a special object color material, then I can assign it here as well for the instance. So let's plug this guy in and plug that in. It's just gonna create this ring. It's not particularly exciting yet, but we can add some kind of thickness. Just use solidify or extrusion. That both will work. Plug this guy in and polygon in, and then extrude the thickness. So we have this kind of a ring. By default it's 32 in radial. I'll make it smaller for this demo. Actually, I might can use some kind of randomization to get like a different shape, like a cookie cutters kind of thing. So what's the reason of me doing this? It's because we can easily, for example, if you want to make like 10 different variations of this object, we can just use line and maybe like arrange this guy, you know, like that way, and we have now 10 different variations. We can randomize the scale and rotate it and whatnot. We can also play with this radial section. If I plug in the random number generator here, give it a random number between 3 and 10, you see we have 10 different variations, and all of them supposed to be already grouped, I think. Let me quickly check. Yeah, they are already grouped under this group name, beta. I have not like randomized the color yet, but now if we go back to our grid here, 100 by 100 points grid, and then create a particle system, and I'm gonna turn off the physics, I can instance the group that's being generated by Sverchok. Pick random, size 1. You see? Currently, I think so. Particle instance, I think by default, they are kind of pointing in the x-axis. So that's you might need to rotate your object slightly. So I will do that really quick. Vector in. So we're gonna rotate it in the y-axis, I think. Actually, see in the z. I think it's in the z-axis. Well, apparently it's in the x-axis, so there we go. So yeah, we have random objects being scattered on our generated emitter, and then the objects being generated, these things like the 10 different variations, is also being generated in Sverchok. I'm just gonna hide these instance objects, put it in different layer. So now we have this thing, and we can have a lot of control as well with this. Let's say we have like 100 points, so we can scatter them instead of randomly on the faces. We can tell it, okay, just do it on the vertices, don't do it randomly, just do it on the vertices exactly. So we can get an exact arrangement as we need. We can always go back to our emitter and then make some changes, like maybe we want to randomize the emitter mesh as well. We can use randomize random vector mk2, actually randomize input vertices. So something like this is also becoming very easy to do. The emitter itself, we're not gonna see. Normally with this guy we kinda just turn off the emitter, so when it's being rendered it will disappear. I'll turn on ambient occlusion so we can see our objects. And if you like, really, you can also randomize the scale, the transform of each instances. You can since we are not using any particle simulations or physics, we don't use any force. You see that all our instance is kind of following the point normal, but you can also further rotate it randomly from Sverchok for each instance. And also you can colorize the object. If I'm not wrong, you just use object set and assign some kind of color. We know that we have 10 objects, so we need to have like 10 different color. We use color in HSV and plug this in. Use alpha. You know, you can control all this. Maybe even just randomize the hue here. 10 different value float between 0 and 1. See? All become very easy to control. Everything is procedural. You can still go back and change the ring radius if you like, thickness, increase the resolution, and randomize the seed. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about when I'm thinking like to combine a blender particles and then use Sverchok on top of it. So suddenly you have like this very powerful way to control a lot of things. What else can I do here? So this is like 10 instance being randomly instanced on the particles. I'm not sure if Blender particles and Sverchok can kind of talk and then discuss, okay, which instance should I use now? Currently it's just like randomly place the instance, right? You can randomize it here, so that's an advantage. You can use the rotations of the objects itself. What else? So I don't want to do too much. I don't want to give you too much information yet, but I think that's pretty much it. I can save this blend and give it to you as an example. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.